Houston, we have a problem.
Give me all you got!
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
Give me back my gun! I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Stand and Watch, the best and only dad movie podcast you're ever going to listen to, because we killed all the other ones. They're dead.
They're dead and gone.
Yeah. As always, I am your host, Matt.
You're the host, Nick.
Hello, all you standees, and Steve Buscemi, as always.
Steve, how you doing? You know, we're on camera for this episode. We're not recording the video, but I have to mention the few times I've been on camera this week. I do a wave like this. Like I wave.
Oh,
No.
And I was like,
No, you didn't have to mention this. You didn't have to mention this.
No.
They can't see
I
you.
know that.
no one could see it.
But I've had this conversation with multiple people this week. I recorded something with somebody yesterday, and I was like giving them directions, and I was like talking with my hands. I was like, I have to stop this. It looks really bad. Look, Elon did a Nazi salute, but what I'm saying is he's ruining like people who like talk with their. He's ruining it for us. He's ruining hand gesture talking.
Won't anyone think of the Italians?
I'm beside. Like I've had to start doing this, so I stopped like moving my hands around. But I had to say that at the top of the episode in case anyone heard my hands moving.
In case anyone heard a Nazi salute, he was just waving.
It makes a specific sound.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it goes 9. He was just waving to Steve Buscemi. Anyway, we have a special guest on the show today. We have Stu from the Stu World Order. Say hello, Stu.
Hi, everybody. Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for having me on, guys.
You are welcome. Thank you for coming on. I've been on your show 3 times. I'm on a quest to become. I'm on a quest to become your Steve Martin. I'm gonna be on your show 12 times by the time we both die.
I haven't been on his show anytime, so I'm like apparently his Chevy Chase. So that's cool. That's neat. That's awesome. Cool, guys. Cool. Whatever. Not
You can
mad.
be on sometime. I'll invite you on sometime. Don't feel bad. Now you're making me feel bad. I don't want to feel bad. I'll invite you on the show. It's fine. It's fine.
All right. Well, before,
Okay. All right. You talked me into it.
Before we get the show on the road, Stu, why don't you introduce yourself? Well, I guess you did, but like tell people like what you're all about.
Sure. So the podcast is the Stu World Order podcast, where we review randomly drawn comic book movies with our guest. We have episodes that come out on the 2nd, 12th, and 22nd of every month, or as I call it, Stu on the Twos, which my wife gives me so much crap about, but it's what I came up with, and I thought it was clever.
Look, I love alliteration,
addition-
so
I know, it's great. And in addition to the podcast, I have the website swoproductions.com, where we have new articles every single weekday.
It's a lot of stuff, Stu.
It is. The website is a lot of work. Podcasting is hard. Podcasting can be hard, but compared to keeping up with the website, the podcast is a piece of cake. Editing and recording episodes, not a problem. Trying to do 3 or 4 articles a week, because I have other people that do some articles for me, so I'm still doing 3 or 4 articles a week. It's tough stuff, but I keep up at it, and I think we are currently, all of our episodes are recorded up through the end of April, and the articles are all written up through the middle of June. So I always tell people, like, I could drop dead tonight and you're still gonna have to put up with me for like half a year. Like, I'm not going away. Everything is scheduled and ready to go until like June.
that's
I'm super
fantastic.
jealous of that schedule.
We're-
I'm jealous that you are so far ahead.
we're like 6 episodes ahead for this, and I'm like, we're both like, yeah, that's great. That's so much time, and then you're here like, yeah, well, we got till the end of April.
But you guys are weekly, and I'm 3 times a month, so it's a little bit different.
That's true. That's true. Oh, I because I've been on your show 3 times, I know how far out you record, and I stole that from you. I was like, Stu does it so far out. That's probably great. I'm going to do that.
Oh, it's so convenient because if something bad happens, you have a tragedy, your computer goes down, or you break a back or something and you can't record for a while, everything's scheduled to go until everything fixes itself. It's great.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to face some of that with my other podcasts. My brother and his wife are having a baby here, like any
Ooh.
day now, and I'm like, well, shit. We record Tuesday. I work on it Tuesday night. We put it out Wednesday. So we're right on time with those episodes.
Yeah, I know guys, I know people that do timely podcasts. They do stuff on what's out in cinemas like right now or what was on TV right now, and they do that. Their turnaround time is astounding to me. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how you guys do it. Record Tuesday night, release Wednesday. I have way too much anxiety to be able to do that. I would lose my mind.
Oh, well, my old podcast, we did that. We recorded on like Saturday nights, and I would like edit it and like get it out for like the next morning.
Oof.
Right?
Ooh,
Like,
It's rough. I don't know
Saturday
how you
night.
do it. I don't know how you manage. I don't know. You guys have much better mental health than I do that you are able to stand being able to do that.
well, I couldn't. That's why I don't have that other podcast anymore. We both collectively agreed. Listen, we either continue this podcast or we remain friends. Pick one.
I love it when it's the friendship or the podcast, because 9 times out of
Yeah.
10, I think the podcast ends up winning out.
Yeah, no, we were both like, listen, we're both doing this. We're doing it every week. We got to come up with ideas. We hate it. That's all we're doing. Every time we hang out, we're talking about, oh, what are we gonna do for the next episode? And then we rush out an episode, and I was like, I can't fucking no. And it was like, listen, podcast or friendship.
Yeah, you can't
So-
let your entire friendship become the podcast that you're doing. Because, like
Yeah.
you said, then you have nothing else to talk about or nothing else going on in your life. I had my previous podcast, I was with friends, and we went on a vacation one year. Me and my buddy and his family and my family. And literally, while we're on vacation, all we're doing is talking about the podcast, recording episodes of the podcast with our wives. And it's just like, no, we're on vacation. We should be doing more fun stuff than this.
Yeah,
Go
that's
snorkeling. What are we doing?
yeah. So that's why when I was like, I'm gonna do another podcast, I was like, Stu records like months in advance. Let's do that. I'll do that. That way,
Yes.
me and whoever co-hosts, we won't want to kill each other at least until the second year.
Oh, and it's been great. Like now, like if we wanted to fuck off for a few weeks, we could fuck off for a few weeks. I do love that. I'm referring to the video again. I didn't salute this time, but I have a puppy here, and I had to pick her up because she was chewing all these cords down here.
Nick
text
just
my-
goes off the air halfway through.
I text my wife like, "You have to come get her," but I'm pretty sure she's asleep.
Well, that would be one way to end. Well, I guess it wouldn't end the episode. Just you're part of it.
Yeah, I would still be here, but you wouldn't have my audio. She was chewing the mic's USB cord.
We would just have to. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to read Nick's lips. He's saying something
Which-
about space lasers now.
Which would suck because I really like this movie.
This was a good movie. Today we are talking about Prospect, which you should know because it's the title of the episode. Nick, why don't you introduce the movie?
Yeah. So Prospect is a 2018 American science fiction film. Stars Pedro Pascal, Sophie Thatcher, and Jay Duplass. The film written and directed by Zeke Earl and Chris Caldwell features a teenage girl named C and her father Damon, who land on a poisonous forest moon to mine for valuable gems. Series of betrayals, alliances, and conflicts with mercenaries and rival prospectors makes their quest increasingly perilous.
That was wonderful.
This was a movie I became aware of like almost immediately once it started like hitting the film festival cycle. I think I like saw a trailer or something for it like on YouTube or something, and I was like, I have to watch this movie. Where is it? And this is back when I was pretty ignorant to like how film festivals work. I was like, okay, this has to be like streaming somewhere, or like there has to be like a digital code so I could watch it. And there wasn't. And this came out like March of that year, and I don't think it was available streaming or like on AVOD or any kind of VOD until probably late that summer. It's probably like August, if I'm remembering correctly. But the trailer for this is just so good that I was like, I have to watch this. It's Pedro. Right around this time, he was doing, I think he had just done Kingsman 2 or was getting ready to do Kingsman 2. And so, like, he was everywhere at this point. And just the way the movie looks, it looks amazing. I was like, I have to see this. And now I've seen it like 3 or 4 times at this point.
I became aware of this movie a month ago when you brought it up to me when we were talking about The Last of Us, and then you put it on the wheel. That's all
What
I
about
got.
I'm
you?
aware of it whenever Matt told me we were doing it. So
It's crazy that you like. It's so crazy to me that like you have these movies come out, and I mean you have these indie movies come out, and so I mean so like 3 different people in the room. There could be someone who's like seen it multiple times and has known about it since before it was even out, and then you guys who didn't know about it until fucking 2025. I mean, it just says something about the indie movie scene, and this isn't me being an asshole saying I'm in the indie movie scene, but it just kind of says how hard it is to market something to the masses.
I was bad at paying attention to any stuff like that until just the last couple of years. I've started getting into, what's coming out through film festivals and what's going to be on streaming services like Shudder and Screambox and what have you, what's going to be on those services, what's going to get bought up and put on. So yeah, 2018, I was definitely still oblivious to most things like that.
I think, like, the only good thing that's ever come from me joining social media is I follow lots of movie people now that talk about movies. So I'm like, oh, I've never heard of that, or oh, that's coming out, and that's it. That like I wasn't on social media in 2018. I was much happier, but I didn't know about all the movies. So even trade off, I guess.
But it has the give and take. You were happier, but you were watching less movies. Now you're miserable, but you're getting to watch a lot more good movies.
Okay.
I had a question, but I think I'll save it for later.
Oh, okay. Well, don't forget your question then, because this is going to be bugging me the whole time. What's his question? What's his question?
If I can remember it. I'm distracted by the puppy. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we should, before we really talk about the movie, it's time for Dad-approved Letterboxd reviews, where we read Letterboxd reviews that we think are very Dad-esque. I got mine pulled up already, so I shall start. This review comes from Emily Hart. I don't know if that's... I didn't know you could put a heart on your legal birth certificate, but she is a patron on Letterboxd. Good for you. She gave this movie 3 stars and a heart and wrote, "Made my brother watch this. He hated on Pedro the whole time. He's not my brother anymore." Heart emoji.
I remember seeing that one and thinking about picking it because I do love when family gets disowned for small things like that. I've found mine. This is from Maria, who is a patron. Look at you, Miss Moneybags. She gave Prospect 2 stars and said, "Listen, I'm a lesbian, but Pedro Pascal has no right looking that hot and having that voice."
That's valid.
He's right.
That's valid.
Yeah.
He's right.
Reaches across the entire range of sexuality, Pedro Pascal does. I have mine here. It is by Bombs Fall, who I believe gave this 3.5 stars, and their Letterboxd review was, "I remember liking this and thinking the whole planet would smell mildewy. If you have a mold or pollen allergy, I would not recommend visiting this planet."
Oh, I saw this one. I almost picked it.
Mold and mildew.
I mean, he's
Don't
not
visit
wrong.
this planet.
He's not wrong. It's all mossy.
poison
There's
particles.
spores everywhere. Oh, that is a very Dad thing to say about a movie. Looks like there's a lot of mildew where they are.
Dude,
Mm.
need some Clorox.
All right, well, you know what? It is time for, we call it the criticism sandwich, because all dads love sandwiches. And it is a sandwich because we talk about our likes, our dislikes, and then finish with more likes. Therefore, sandwich. Some say the meat should be likes and the buns should be dislikes, but that's too negative for our tastes.
There's enough negativity in the world. There's enough nasty sandwiches out there. We're gonna be a good sandwich.
Yeah. Nick is negative enough off podcast. We don't need him to be more negative on podcast.
Don't get me started.
He's in his hater era. You guys don't know, but he's always sending me angry DMs. Look at this fucker.
And then an hour later, I write back like, you know what? I think I was pretty angry when I sent that earlier. Disregard my last DM. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. But no, this movie, it's very green. I mean,
it is very green.
The mildew hinted at it, but this movie was shot up in Washington. Very green. Everything's very green. It's so green. They're saying it's the greenest movie since Green Room. And it just looks it looks pretty. It's a good looking movie.
It is. I really like, I like all the sci-fi like contraptions. I like how it looks like what I call NASA junk. I'm a big fan of that style of sci-fi where it just looks like they built it out of like whatever was in the NASA garbage dumpsters. It's like Starfield also had this which I know all the gamers hate Starfield, but I like that look of. I really like the aesthetic of like lots of sci-fis are all, it's the future and it's all high tech and flashy and touchscreens and Minority Report and Star Trek. But I just love the look of like, yeah, this looks like something that they might build. I like those little like rod guns that they have that just look like a metal tube.
I like how like dingy their ship is or their pod is that they're going down in. I like junk sci-fi. I've started calling it middle class sci-fi. It's like sci-fi for the rest of us.
Yeah.
It looks very 80s inspired inside their ship, and I don't mean it's all neon and wearing leg warmers or anything, but it's like it's very 80s looking technology with flip switches, and you have to put like a big kind of key thing into a slot to get anything to work. Yeah, it looks very like how we imagined futuristic technology was going to be when it was the 80s.
Yeah, it's like when you watch Aliens and like they're still using CRT monitors. Like, I like that shit, man. Like I'm all for like flashy Star Trek sci-fi, but give me big bulky junk. Just give me big bulky techno junk.
Also like that the music is very it's got that 80s bop kind of to it. I don't know if this is like original music done for the movie or if this is something they found somewhere, but yeah, that really stood out. And I don't remember if she had like a Walkman or a CD player, but she had some 80 ass looking headphones on.
She did have big, giant, chunky headphones. And
then I also think she's really good in this movie too, Sophie Thatcher. I haven't seen her in anything else. I know she's in Yellow Jackets, so I don't know.
Yeah, she's in Yellow Jackets. She was in 2 years ago. She was in The Boogeyman.
She was in
Last
Heretic.
year, she was in Heretic.
Oh yeah, she's one of those ladies. Yeah.
Yes, and then just out this weekend in theaters is Companion. She's the star of that.
That's a really quick turnaround.
Yeah, she's having a big moment. She's blowing up right now.
I know of her. This is the only thing I've seen her in.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, she's great. Her and Pedro are great. I mean, Pedro of course is great, but like it's a fun double act, and they're both really good. She's really good too. She didn't have a lot of dialogue, so a lot of her stuff is like facial acting and physical. So. And she's really good at that. Like, there's the one scene, Stu, I know you singled this scene out in your Letterboxd review. There's the scene where they're in the little hut with the other people, and they want to trade for medical supplies, and you're like, this looks kind of fishy. There's like a dead woman in the corner, and she's not talking, she's just looking around. And like most of the tension there is like her facial expressions and like reacting to things, like, she looks a little uneasy, and like when he says we want to trade for her, like he offers Pedro like a bunch of like, I don't know what they are. They're like little pearls. They're like space pearls, and like a little like goo thing, and like you see the look on her face of like just calculating. Okay, I got to get out of here before she starts running. Just good stuff. Good acting. I like good acting. This isn't like a big flashy sci-fi. So it kind of hinges on the acting, and she shoulders it well. I don't know how old she was in this movie.
She was 18. I think this came out in Yeah, she was born in 2000 because I looked it up while I was watching this because she looks really young in this. But if this came out in 18, she was either 17 or 18 when it was being filmed, I'm sure. So
I did read up. I was reading up on the IMDb trivia page, and if they're to be believed, they shot this for 40 days because they still had to follow the when you're filming with a minor, they had to follow those layouts
okay.
and rules. So that's apparently why it took so long, because she was 17, but
Oh,
getting
okay.
ready to turn 18, like during filming, if I believe I read that correctly. But yeah, I think she's great in this. She, 'cause I mean, she's in the movie. She's in the entire movie. Whereas Jay Duplass, and I'll get to him more when we get to the negatives. But he's only in this movie for like 20 minutes. The
Yeah,
Duplass or Duplass? I always get that mixed up.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course.
I'm not sure. I've never spoken to him, so I don't
Yeah.
know. Like going back to the acting a little bit, I like the loquacious nature of Pedro Pascal's character. He
Yep.
really comes across, and I saw this on Letterboxd. I'm not making this up on my own, but I saw somebody on Letterboxd compare him to Mal from Firefly, and it's like, shit, yes, that is exactly who he sounds like in this movie. He's talking and he sounds very smart, and he's using $10 words when he doesn't necessarily have to, and he a lesser actor would come across as a complete geek trying to talk like this, but Pedro Pascal just makes it seem like something his character would do. Like he's the dignified bounty hunter kind of guy on this planet looking for space pearls, and
Mm-hmm.
it works so well, and he delivers the line so impeccably. I was really impressed with his performance.
Yeah, and like we don't know really anything about him outside of like what happens in this movie. So like a lot of like that character you only get from the acting, and you're like, yeah, like a lesser, you're right, a lesser actor, he just would have been like your stereotypical I'm a space outlaw or whatever. But like the way he plays it, you're like, there's a reason he talks like this, right? There's a reason he's kind of silver tongued, right? Like maybe he, I don't know if he's like a crook, if he's like like what kind of guy he is, but like like there's a reason he's using these words and talking like he's knows everything, and there's a reason for the loquaciousness. He's not just some like oh, it's space western guy, like there's something there and that you never really get, but like he gives it just enough that you're like, who is this guy?
The movie makes me want to know more about him because
Mhm.
he's so interesting, and it doesn't to use the term from your most recent episode when you were talking about bad times at the El Royale, it doesn't spoon feed you anything about him. It just gives you this interesting character that if this movie ever wanted to follow up with a prequel or a sequel on this character, I would be here for, because I want to know more about this guy. I want to know everything that's brought him to this point in his life where he's clearly very intelligent, but he ends up stranded on this planet where he can't breathe, and he's having to hook up to other people's filters because his doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the movie's not interested in spoon feeding you at all, because they
Yeah.
set us up. You get to the scene where Jay is cutting open that the plant or the creature, and I mean, they don't explain it. They're just cutting it open, and you're just like, oh, they're prospecting whatever this is, and you immediately understand that if like you make the wrong cut, you completely destroy the thing. And a lesser movie would have had Jay destroy one of those immediately and have him try again, and they saved that for later and like built up the suspense as they were doing that later dig. And I really appreciated the movie not like trying to hammer home like someone's backstory, because I think Sophie Thatcher, her mom died in childbirth. They kind of touch on it, but they don't really. I mean, and Jay Duplass is just like this father figure who's actually not that good of a dad in the little bit of time we get to see him. And I admired that the movie just kind of let that be and didn't try to like, but he's good in this way, like he's really good over here. I didn't need that. I just remembered the question I wanted to ask you guys when I was messing with the puppy. So both of you had never seen this.
Yeah.
You've both seen The Last of Us, the HBO original.
Yes, I have.
Actually. I don't watch a ton of television. I'm more of a straight up movie guy. TV shows are a big commitment.
That is true.
They are. Do you guys think this was this the audition for Pedro to get The Last of Us eventually? Because the timeline lines up pretty well to where he would have been cast like what 2020.
Well, when was the first season of that show even? I don't even remember.
First season was 2023.
Was it? When was he officially cast?
I believe he was cast in 2020. It had to be like sometime in 2020 because remember there were rumors originally that it was going to be Mahershala Ali.
Was there?
There were
I don't
rumors
remember that. Okay.
And you know all the gamers on the internet were like, "What? What are you doing?"
Okay, February 10th.
Yeah.
February 10th, 2021 is when he was cast.
Okay.
I mean, they might have watched, I don't know, maybe when they were looking, maybe they watched this and thought, how about Pedro Pascal? I don't know if that happened or if he auditioned or whatever, but I mean, it's definitely there.
I mean, it could have also been The Mandalorian because he's kind of doing the same thing there.
Yeah. Is it just
Pedro Pascal always escorting youngsters around?
Is it just okay? So, is there anything else where he escorts things around?
Mandalorian prospect. He's he's Tyrion Lannister's like keeper for that first season of Game of Thrones. Or that fourth season.
But is he like escorting him around like a baby?
No. No. Is he escort? So I haven't seen the movie, but The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, is he escorting Nicolas Cage in that?
And he literally drives him around, but that's as much as it gets. Yeah, he's not really escorting him like he would a child.
Yeah, they're more friends.
They're buddies.
Yeah, they're buddies.
He's one of those guys where the filmography is not on his Wikipedia. You have to click a different. Yep, screen and stage. Let's see here. Sisters, Bloodsucking Bastard. He was in that Kingsman movie, which they did him dirty in that. If Beale Street could talk, he wouldn't have been escorting anybody there. Did he escorted himself into somebody's body in that Wonder Woman sequel, right? No, I don't think nothing else here really where he's like, okay, well, he was the fox and wild robot. They were escorting that the robot did more of the work in that though.
Yeah, but he helped.
The fox was still, yeah.
Okay, we can
close enough.
We can include that. He was a parental figure to somebody to a little child.
So the list is called Pedro
Pascal.
Daddy Pedro.
Pedro Pascal is a surrogate father.
I mean, he's made his living off of it.
Yeah, you know what? He's found his niche. Good for him.
Good for him.
All right. Stu, do you have any more likes before we get into dislikes? Bearing in mind, you will also have to say more likes afterwards because it is a sandwich.
Yeah, no, I like the disarming scene because it's not something I necessarily saw coming in this movie where I didn't expect something so visceral in this movie, and yet it's not shot like a Saw scene. You're not getting a close up of this guy's arm getting cut off or anything, but you're just getting this steady shot of his face while Sophie Thatcher cuts his arm off, and it's so intense because you see the weight on his face of what he's going through, but he's trying to remain stoic through it, and he's not going to show any weakness to this girl because this girl's already had him at gunpoint and been one up on him the entire movie. He's not going to show any weakness, and he's already promised her, like, oh, I wasn't going to sell you to those people, I promised, before you ran away anyway and got safe from them. I would never have done that. But he's just trying to be so stoic, and you see the expression on his face of like, oh shit, this is painful, but I'm going to try and distract myself. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
In the movie, if it wanted to get more gruesome or brutal, it could have shown the arm, but it didn't. It was showing through his facial expressions what was going on instead of showing like, oh, look at this special effect of getting an arm cut off we're going to show you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get into this when we go back to likes, but like there's a lot of, and that's one of them, there's a lot of really great individual scenes in this that just like on their own you're like, that's a really good scene. That's like a quality scene. And what I like about that scene too is like the things he uses to cut his arm off. It's like a little blade. You're like what kind of like, and that goes back to how this movie doesn't really spoon feed you anything. It just exists in this world just exists. And you just go along with it. You're like, what is that thing? Like, why is it cut? It's a tiny thing cutting his arm off, and like, there's no blood spurting or anything. You're like, how's the wound? And it's just like, I guess it's It's just part of it's technology in this world, and you just go with it. Like a lesser movie would have been like, here, use this thing use this little laser blade that cauterizes the wound, and it's you don't have to saw through and blah 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 blah. And it's like no, just like it's a little sci-fi thing she uses to cut his arm off.
Yeah, my favorite line from him in that moment is just cut till you hit bone, I think is the line.
Yeah.
Setting 2 is for skin, setting 4 is for bow.
Yeah, and you're just like, what is this device she's using, right? And a lesser movie would have been like, here, it's this device that does this and this and this. Use it, put on these settings, and it'll do this. And you're like, no, it's just like, why would they do that? They already live in this world. They know what it is.
I can see a studio exec giving this notes if this were a studio movie. Like, can you explain the bone saw? We didn't quite get the bone saw. We tested this. The audience didn't understand the bone saw.
It's just one of those movies that like they drop you into it and you're into it. Like there's no in this world blah 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 blah, or here we're going to Zorgon 4, the planet of this and this and this. We're going to the second moon of Electron or what. It's like, no, you're just in it. You're on the spaceship. You're in it. You're like, that's it. This is the world of the movie. This is their world. Why would they explain it to themselves?
So before we get to the negative, you mentioned Pedro's face acting, and I think this is our first Pedro movie. I don't think we've done any other Pedro.
It is.
Does he belong? Where's he fit in on the face acting scale? The Dakota / hit scale.
Well, he's definitely not on the Dakota Johnson end. Yeah, I mean, I'd put him. I wouldn't put him as high as Pitt and Cruz, but maybe upper middle.
Upper middle towards the right.
Yeah, not that
okay.
right.
All right. Not that right. No, not that right, but right enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is Thatcher on there, or do we need to see more of her work before we can say for sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
a nasty smirk. Like she's good at smirking. I've noticed from Yellow Jackets and Heretic, she can like really disarm other characters with a smirk. Yeah.
If I Google Thatcher smirk, I hope I'm not going to get any porn. Let's find out. Thatcher smirk.
Worse,
you never know with Margaret 34.
I was going to say you're going to get Margaret Thatcher, perhaps. But...
Dude, I got a lot of Margaret Thatcher porn. Oh shit.
Did you actually?
Safe search is way off. There's that smirk. Yeah. Just
gonna get pictures of Margaret Thatcher smirking at war crimes.
This one says Margaret Snatcher. I'm done with these people.
Okay. What do we not like about this movie?
I don't like the way this movie shoots action scenes, and I get it. It's a small indie movie. Their money went into the shots. Their money went into their big like drone shots, and their just shooting the forest. And by the time they got to the action scenes, it was like, go stand over there. Okay, we're gonna have the camera jump to you, and then they're just gonna react to you standing there. It's like, oh, okay.
I just gonna bounce off of that. I just literally have in my notes what's happening in the final battle. It's too dark.
It was too dark, and the beginning of the battle started off as kind of like Jason Bourne shaky cam, and luckily they rectified that early on into the battle scene, and it didn't stay like that, but it started off very shaky, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. Please fix this.
Yeah.
Did I look down at my phone and miss it? Like, did somebody let the big red guy out, or was he just out randomly?
I missed that too. If he got out, I didn't see how.
I think he just got out during the chaos, because I thought the same thing. Oh, he's out now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Three out of 3 watchers agree. We don't know when he got out.
We don't know how he got out.
Yeah.
I remember
seeing that scene.
Seeing the glass cage and saying, I don't think that can hold that guy. And then the next time I saw him, he was out. I was like, oh, I was right. I don't know how it happened, but I was right.
It's like they missed a beat. They're like, okay, we show him in the glass, then he's out of the glass, and then they forgot to do the in-between part where he gets out of the glass.
I don't like Jay. I don't like Jay in this. I don't like Jay Duplass in this. Maybe it's just because the character is just like not my favorite character. I don't know. I don't like him in it. He's so cold to Sophie Thatcher's character. And again, that's intended, but still, I don't like him in this. I don't know.
That's pretty much my down, in that the movie sets up stuff with him, like he has the drug addiction, and he passes out from his drug addiction while saying to Sophie Thatcher, like, "Oh, I should have told you about that one time," and then he dozes off. And then, like, not like the movie writes him off too soon, because he's in the first, like, 40 minutes of this movie. It is the 40-minute mark before we get Sophie Thatcher and Pedro Pascal together, which is also kind of a down, like, just throw them together faster. But they set up all this subplot stuff with the dad and then don't pay it off. And I like you said, a movie that feels like a lived-in universe where stuff just kind of happens and it doesn't all have to matter. But Sophie Thatcher's dad being a drug addict felt like it was supposed to matter, and it doesn't, because he just dies.
I wanted it to be what got him killed. I was like, yeah, we got our gold, we got our little plant stones that look like eggs, and now I'm gonna get high. And whoops, Pedro Pascal and his big scary friend killed me. Whoops.
I think, and like I actually I like his death scene. I like that whole showdown and how he's just like he's just very quickly offed, and he just like gets shot, like murked off, like he gets shot and flies off screen. Like, I like that. I think the problem is, and there's two problems with his character. He, like you said, like, it sets up this drug problem that doesn't go anywhere, right? And like, you could have easily been like, well, the reason he won't take just the $10,000 and leave like Sophie Thatcher wants is because, well, he needs the big score. He's got to pay off like a drug debt, or he's got to, you know, he's got to, you know, like tie that into his greed. And that's what kills him, right? And the other thing is, we said earlier, like, Pedro's character, we don't know a lot about him. It's all in the performance, right? It's how he plays that character that we're like, there's something to this guy. And I don't know, like, I don't know if I've ever seen Jay Duplass in anything, but the way he plays it is just like, I don't know if there's anything more to him. He's just man who's in the movie.
Yeah, there's not a lot of character to him. He's just there, and he's for having as little characterization or forward momentum as he does, he's in too much of the movie. Like, you could have just set this up like, girl and her father gonna go get some gems, he shows her how to get some gems, Pedro Pascal kills him, boom, that's your opening 15 minutes, and everything matters as much as it does in 40 minutes in this movie.
Yeah,
I think when a girl's father is gunned down, I should be like, oh no.
Yeah,
but I was like, oh, okay. Every time I've seen this, I was like, eh. And I do like that it's ultimately Pedro that kills him, because I mean he gets shot, but then he's laying there,
yeah,
and then Pedro double taps him, and I liked Pedro for double tapping him, because like that was vicious, but also kind of like a mercy thing, and like that was a complicated thing that he did, but I don't hate him for doing it. Whereas the dad, one of the last things the dad did was like basically hold these guys up that like, I mean, we don't know if they're going to go back on their word or not. Who can tell? I mean, the movie ultimately comes down, the movie's about trust. And I immediately know watching this movie that I can't trust Jay Duplass's character, because he's robbing these guys blind. Like, he's fucking them over before he can get fucked over. I get that, but I didn't like Jay. Him and his brother make good movies though, but I just didn't like Jay's character in this movie.
It's like Pedro and Thatcher are doing a lot with a little, and Jay is doing what's given to him. Mm-hmm. It's like he's reading the lines. He's like Pedro and Sophie are like, they have their character, they have the little character description in the script, and they're like, okay, so this is what the character is, and then they add to it. They're like, okay, like I can tell from their performances, they probably thought, okay, this is the backstory, this is what the character, right? And then to me, Jay's performance feels like, okay, so what are my lines this scene?
Yeah, I can see that. He doesn't seem, I feel like we're knocking this poor actor, and I don't know what went into his performance, but you're right, it doesn't feel like he added anything to the value. He did not bring added value. He just brought what they wrote for him on the page.
Yeah, and he's not he's not like a Dakota Johnson. Go ahead, girl, give us nothing, right? You know, he's acting. He's just acting in like a boring way.
He's etching into that animal to cut the egg out, but instead of like the perfect circle, he etches in "fuck you."
Yeah, right. Like way like Dakota Johnson will just like give you like a blank, expressionless, like whatever, like oh no, right? Like he's better than that. Like he's acting, but like he's acting in a way that like he's just like okay, so the character's described as this. These are the lines, action, and it's just kind of because like and he shares again, like he shares most of his scenes with Thatcher and like that one scene with Pedro, and like there again with like he has more lines than them when he's with them, and they're acting circles around him.
Yeah, absolutely, they are.
It's almost it's unfair to him.
Yeah. Maybe it's not even him. Maybe it's just the problem is they're so good that it makes him look bad.
It's like you have two friends playing basketball, and the little brother comes over, and the mom and dad are like, you have to play with your little brother, and he's like missing everything. I'm sorry, Jay, I like you and your brother, I'm sorry.
Oh, just okay.
I think, is there anything else? I don't like the dust particles. I know how they did it. There are some moments in the movie where it's very distracting. I was like, I know you guys did the green screen. I know you guys are using actual dust for this, and it's really cool. Stop doing it so fucking much.
Yeah, I think about 15 minutes in, I was like, that's nice, you know, ambience, you know, gives me okay, clearly there's some like spores on this planet. Is it gonna look like that the whole movie?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Clearly, you just don't want to breathe on this planet, and they wanted to stress that to you.
Yep.
Like it's a cool trick, but like just like cut it back a little bit. Like you don't have. I don't need a scene of them walking and like the same dust particle floating by.
Yeah. Stu, do you any more dislikes?
No, I think the biggest problems I had were they set up all this stuff with the dad and then didn't pay it off, and yet somehow still also managed to take 40 minutes to get Sophie Thatcher and Pedro Pascal together. Like, my brain can't reconcile those two things at the same time. Like, how do you not pay off things and yet still take this long to get to what we came here to see?
Yeah, my only other negative, and this once again ties into that, I think it's the glue that's holding all these negatives together, is that like the whole dad thing, as her dad dies, and I don't know how that affects her in any way, because like he gets killed, she runs away because like, you know, she thinks they're gonna shoot her too, and then the very next scene, she's just like listening to her music, eating junk food, and I'm like, okay, you know, and I get like he wasn't a good dad, right? But like she's got to have some sort of reaction to his death other than gonna eat my junk food and then now I'm with Pedro Pascal. Like she does the whole like, oh, you killed my father speech to him, but like does she really care? Like it doesn't seem like she does. And there's no follow up to that. And it again, it's the whole big problem of there's 40 minutes with him and just no follow up of anything. Right? Like, he's not a good dad. He's got this drug problem. He dies, and she's just like, cool, I'm going to listen to my music and eat my junk food. And then Pedro shows up and he's like, oh, you killed my dad. And I'm like, do you really care?
It almost felt like she was there. She went back to like wait and die and didn't have a plan. And the movie, like I forget when she says this, but she says that about her dad to Pedro, like he said, I needed to focus. And they don't really ever go back to that. There's never like any like arc to her like needing to focus. I was just like, oh, like, yeah, I remember watching it this time and thinking like, you're wasting a lot of time in this thing that's not going to take you back up to the ship. Like, fucking move, girl. You have limited oxygen. Your little tank things are running out. I know they are.
I think it goes back to what Stu said, is that like you could have just had if you're not going to do any follow-up to the dad being a shitty, you know, drug addict, you could have just had this be, okay, 15 minutes, she's there with her dad, you know, mining for jewels, then he gets killed, now she's with Pedro. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if the scene where she's on the ship and, like you said, she's listening to music, she's eating junk food, she's throwing food at the wall of the ship just to see if it'll stick to the wall of the ship. I was wondering if this was a scene where, like, is she supposed to be younger than we think she is? Like, they cast an 18-year-old actress, but like, is this character supposed to be 10 all of the sudden? Because I didn't understand those reactions to anything that was going on. Because like you said, it's not like she's having a I'm in shock reaction, but it's not a mature, like 16, 17-year-old girl's reaction either. It feels like, did they just cast this actress, but in their head, they thought she was going to be younger? It's like if you watch the first season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer where they bring in the character of Dawn, and Dawn was clearly written to be like a 7-year-old girl. They just cast like a teenage actress, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and again, it all goes back to like, okay, like there's 40 minutes with the dad, and it sets up, he's a drug addict, he's not that good of a dad, and then there's no follow-up. It's just like, he's dead, and then she's like, I don't see how she processes this at all. She's just like, all of a sudden acting like a teenager who's home alone.
Yep. Getting ready to set up a trap for anyone coming into her ship.
Yeah, and yeah. And
hit him with paint cans.
And I'm just like, okay, like obviously he wasn't a good dad, but like you have to have some reactions. It's just like, no. And it's like, then what was that 40 minutes for?
Like, yeah, what are we doing here?
Right? So it's like,
right? And she was constantly disappointed by him, like throughout the movie. Like there were when he's high, and you can tell she's kind of like dad being dad, or like when they're at the dig and he's like, this is not enough, we need more, and she's like, this is enough for us to go home. So I think it was, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for it, I think she was at the end of her rope with her dad, and so maybe that first bullet hits him and she's like, okay, I'm gonna go back to the ship and die. But it just felt very out of character. It kind of did feel out of character. Like, oh, you're running back and you're Kevin McAllister now. Okay.
Yeah, like
cool
even
movie.
if she didn't like him, like give me something other than like, because like there's ways you can portray, oh, she doesn't really care that he's dead. She's kind of relieved. She didn't like him, whatever. Like there's interesting ways to portray that other than, oh, she's just gonna like rock out and eat junk. And I'm like what? It's just such an out there reaction. Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Your father's dead. Even if you didn't like him, your father's dead. You're stranded. What are you doing? Just eating junk food? Like show me some form of her process in this, or decide, okay, the dad is kind of useless. Let's cut it down. Let's cut it down to 15 minutes and he just dies and whatever. Right? Because if it's a 15-minute prologue, we're like, okay, that's her dad. They're doing this. Now he's dead. Great. You don't even have to. I don't even have to know their relationship. I just have to know, oh, they killed her dad.
Right, and it's an easy fix too. Like instead of going back and like Kevin McAllistering it up, she goes back to like, okay, I have to supply up. I have to survive. And she goes in, like not even thinking about her dad. Like, I need to survive. I need to go get stuff. Goes in, looks for where were they? The little air machines or whatever, the little air pouches or whatever.
Purifiers.
She goes in looking for purifiers. She looks where the purifier should be, and it's her dad's drug stash. And that's when she loses it. She's like, this motherfucker, he's gone. And all I have now is this fucking drug stash. Like anything like that. And Pedro comes in, and then you're right back to the movie.
Yeah, and then you have more time with her and Pedro. Then you have a scene of her reacting to her father's death. And then you have less J. Duplass.
J. Duplass.
And we're
all wins.
Yeah, all wins.
Poor Jay. Jay, we love you. Jay.
Yeah,
Jay, don't take it personally.
Yeah, we love you. Just not in this.
You and your brother are great. You guys are great. You guys do good stuff. Are we done on the negative? I did have a few more on the positive side.
Yes, I am done. I think we're all done on the negatives.
I don't know if this line was spoken specifically, but I put air quotes around it like it was during the cult scene, or the scene where they're with the religious gentleman. Now my son will play you the corn cob, and he starts playing the music out of nowhere for that. I got a good laugh. This movie is made for some good laughs. Like that first shootout where it's very goofy. Like the minigun the big guy is holding goes off multiple times before Jay can get off a shot.
Yeah,
or it's the other way. It's one or the other way around. But I was just like, this is so fucking goofy.
It's very.
I like Pedro Pascal just sitting there with his hands up.
Yeah,
both those guys die, and he's just like, I didn't do it.
Don't shoot me.
Yeah. I like when he points the gun. He grabs the gun and points it, and she runs away, and he just has this look on his face, like, what? Okay. Like it's a space western essentially, but I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't describe the whole thing as that, but like that scene in particular is very Coen-esque in just the way it's just because it is darkly humorous, just how quickly it all goes down. Like he shoots the guy, the minigun goes off, J. Duplass just gets murked, flies off screen in like the blink of an eye. Pedro's there with his hands up. Well, I didn't do nothing. Like it's it's a Mexican stand. It's very like I don't know what movie I don't know what movie I'm thinking of to compare it to, but like it's a very like classic like western, just like shit hits the fan standoff.
Yeah, and I know I mentioned that I didn't like the way action was shot, but the action, like to an extent, especially in that first shootout, like it feels real. It feels like the scene in The Unforgiven where like Bob is like one of the first people to die. Like it feels realistic in that sense where like anyone could die at any moment. We're not saving the big bad guy for the end.
Mm-hmm. And I like to, if you bring it up Unforgiven, I like to like everybody in that standoff is kind of like they all think they're right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like J. Duplass is holding them up because he's like, well, you know, they were going to do it to me. I'm doing it before they can screw me over now, right? And Pedro and his little sidekick were going to screw him over and rob him or whatever. And, you know, like they both started it kind of, and like they all get what's coming to them in a way.
Mm-hmm. And Pedro loses an arm eventually because of it. I also like the way this movie uses its costuming to like create fear and create horror. So going back to that shootout, one of the better scenes in the movie, just Pedro's partner who like doesn't really say anything, but it like is taller than everybody on that fucking moon, and his armor's very like beat up, very.
He's got like Fallout power armor.
Yeah, and he looked like a player created character, but he's terrifying. He didn't say anything. You're like, oh fuck, like what's this guy capable of? And then like later on, you get the red guy. You have where are they, like security prison contractors or whatever they are.
The mercenaries.
Yeah, the mercenaries. And you've got the one that's playing like the K-pop, like the very loud K-pop music.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that detail.
Oh my god, like it. That whole interaction between them and the mercenaries felt like a video game because you had all these different characters with the stats. You had the one useless guy who just gets shot in the end, and the one that gets his arm ripped off and then beaten to death with it, if I remember correctly. But the main two, like I was like, oh fuck, like these guys are just as scary as the old tall boy who took one to the chest.
Yeah, I mentioned this before. I'm going to elaborate on it now. This movie just has a lot of great individual scenes. I don't think they necessarily combine to make a great whole, but like just individually, like the standoff, like that's just a great scene. The scene when they're negotiating with I don't know what the creepy trader people are called. I know they say the name.
I think they called them satyrs.
Satyrs?
Isn't that like a mythological creature?
Yeah, that sounds.
I swear to God,
right.
that's what they call them for some reason.
I do remember Pedro saying something about that, so you're probably correct. But yeah, like that scene is so tense. And it's just a scene where they're trading for like medical supplies, and even before they get in there, you're like, this is probably not going to go well. Look at these people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're just too easy. Whenever he just walks up and they're like, well, all right, go put your guns away and come back and we'll give you whatever you need. And it seems like, well, that's too easy. That's not going to work.
Yeah, and I love too how it kind of subverts the tension, because you're like, okay, these creepy people, they hid their guns away, they let him in. You're like, okay, some shit's going to go down. And it's just like, here's some valuables. We want the girl. And then she runs away and you're like, oh, right? Like, because that whole scene, you're like, oh, there's a dead woman in the corner. These people are creepy. He's playing the cob.
He played the cob.
Right?
Played the hell out of that cob.
You're like, something's going to happen here, right? And it's like, no, we just want the girl. And she runs away. And like, that's great. Yeah, the girl, the merc who uses her, like, who interrupts their comms with the music. Like, more movies should do that. That's a great. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you just like hack someone's comms and blast music so loud it debilitates them?
The sound since we're talking about the sounds, the sound design in this movie is really great. Like everyone talking through their helmets. I mean, everyone's in helmets for a good chunk of the movie. Like I'd say more than an hour, and it's one of my favorite things about it. I think I read that like they did all the audio in the helmets. They didn't go back and like have anyone do any ADR or anything like that. So I thought that was a cool little aspect of the movie.
I love the gun sounds.
Gun sounds are good. This is good. I wrote this down. This movie's just good old sci-fi nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just good sci-fi nonsense. It's got its issues, but like the guns just look shitty and awesome, and I want them on my wall behind me. Everyone's costume just looks like it's something they put together from shit they took from other people they've killed. And yeah, this is like if you told me that Bethesda had gotten the rights to this movie to make a game, I'd be like, yeah, fucking go Bethesda. Let's fucking do it, guys.
It really did feel to me, and again, I know the gamers, quote unquote, people you should always listen to, hate it. But this movie really did feel to me like you'd go to like a random planet in Starfield and see, and this is what would be happening.
I'd play that Starfield DLC.
I want to talk about the satyr scene, if that is indeed what they're called. That's for some reason that's sticking with me. That's what
we're
said.
calling them. That's what we're calling them.
That's what we're calling them. You guys mentioned like one of the whole themes about this movie is trust, and one of the things I really liked is we never see whether Pedro Pascal was going to trade her for the egg gems or not. Like she just runs away and he has to do whatever he has to do to get out of that situation, which we don't even see. We just know he comes out of it alive, but still badly injured. I like that we don't see what he was going to do, because to that point in the movie, he doesn't really owe her anything. He doesn't have any great relationship with her. They had just paired up at that point in the movie, and finding those people was the first thing they did. So it would be completely within the realm of believability that he'd been like, yeah, fuck it, take the girl. I want those little egg gems. That's going to be definitely the choice for me. But, you know, he goes on to promise like, oh, I wasn't going to sell you out. I swear I wasn't. And it's really interesting because it kind of builds trust between them, because she does end up helping him and cutting his arm off to save his life. But you know, I completely believe that he was going to sell her out in that moment, because why wouldn't he have?
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, that whole like there's no reason why he wouldn't have traded her. Like I don't know, because we
I love how she runs away before Pedro like even makes a decision. Like a lesser movie, she would have sat there and waited for him to be like, yeah, okay. Right? But she's just like immediately upon hearing the deal, she's just like, okay, she's just immediately locked into like, how do I get out of here? And then just bolts.
Mm-hmm.
I love that she just finds him in a random tent later on. Like just as stuff like, oh,
yeah.
Oh shit, he's here. Okay, good. Good, he's here. Were you gonna trade me? I swear, no.
No, I wasn't. He's cut off my arm now.
I also really like that they melted that one guy's face off by using the thing that we've been watching them fuck up on the cuts multiple times.
Yeah, I love how Pedro tries to get out of it too. He got too greedy. He fell.
Yeah, greedy bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tried. Yeah. I do love that. Like everyone who's greedy gets what's coming to him, and he tries to play. He tries to play off that concept. Like, look what happened.
Yeah,
and they almost get away with it until they see his ankle.
I also like in this movie, like it's sci-fi, it's out in space, and even though it's a sci-fi western, and even though it reminds me of something like Firefly again that has the same benefit to it, I like that at no point did they fall into the trap of just like, let's throw an alien in there, or let's throw in this weird alien creature that lives on this planet. Like, not like, you know, a bipedal walking around alien thing, but even just like some kind of weird sea slug thing that lives in trees and jumps out at you and tries to eat you or something. Like, there's no alien creatures. It's just people and their stupid egg gems. And I like that they didn't succumb to what I'm sure was the temptation to throw some kind of creatures into this.
What
Yeah,
was the
I
budget was less than 4 million, so
Yeah.
I bet a lot of that went to paid promo.
I think the word I saw a bunch to describe this was lo-fi sci-fi.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I like that. I like that. There's no aliens. There's I don't know. There's these little slug clams or whatever they're mining, but like there's no big alien creatures or robots or anything. It's just NASA junk. It's just this is like, let's imagine if just this is the working man's future, essentially, right? There's no, you're not beaming anybody up. You're not meeting the Klarnax or whatever fucking aliens you're gonna come up with. It's just, you're gonna just build ratty spaceships and have ratty, space suits, and you're gonna go out there and you're gonna mine.
It's like I said earlier, sci-fi for the rest of us. It's everyman sci-fi. They're not like this. They're not fucking Paul over in Dune trying to save society from whatever big issue is going on in the sci-fi world. Like, no, these are working class motherfuckers just trying to get their fucking little goo eggs.
Yeah, and I like to, and this we've touched on this before, but just one more thing I'm going to add. I really like how this is like we said before, like there's no exposition. It just drops you into this world, and so you kind of want to know more about the world. But it has no interest in that. It's just like, this is the story, right? Like obviously there's a bigger universe out there. It's the future. There's probably other planets they've colonized or have gone to mine. Who knows what Earth looks like? This is probably like a big universe right? But it's like, no, this is just a little story about trying to this is just a little story about trying to get some treasure on a planet. And there's no need to even talk about what's going on in the rest of the universe.
You're gonna have to correct you, Matt. It's the moon. The moon.
Do you see the planet in the background once or twice, just hanging out there in the sky?
Those are great. Those are great shots. I did like those shots. I thought the planet looked a little cheesy, but I was like, you know what? This is a beautiful shot. I'm not gonna yuck some yum here.
All right. I don't have any more notes. Does anybody else have anything else to say?
That's my joke. I can't read that yet. Nope, nothing.
Nope, I'm clear.
All right, let's rate this bad boy. I saw on Letterboxd already, we've all given this the same score.
I'm gonna stand by mine. I'm staying at 3. I love this movie, but it's flawed. It does have its issues. But I give it 3 stars.
I am also a 3.
Yeah, I'm also at a 3. I think very entertaining, and like you said, there's a lot of really great scenes that don't necessarily add up to one phenomenal movie, but the individual parts of this are quite entertaining.
Yeah, and just so first-time listeners are aware, this is 3 out of 5, not out of 10. So don't be like, what are they talking about? They said they said they liked it.
Love this movie. 3 out of 10.
Yeah. I see those reviews.
10-star rankings? You want 10-star rankings in this economy? Get the fuck out of here.
I see that all the time on Letterboxd. Oh, really great movie. Loved it. 1.5 stars. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, this is one of the most 3-star movies that's ever 3-starred. It's like you can tell, like, this is like the bones of this are great, but like, man, like cut out J. Duplass or cut that to 15 minutes, or do something. Trim the fat. It's an hour and 40 minutes, but you can trim the fat. Trim the fat and get more meat on those bones.
I'm here for The Last of Us Space Odyssey 2001. Like, I'm not here for Jay. Get to Joel and Abby, or Joel and what the fuck her name is. I don't know.
I mean, we'll be getting to Joel and Abby pretty soon.
The internet's not ready for that.
I said in my Letterboxd review, Pedro Pascal needs to stop taking care of children. Bad things happen to him.
I really do think that season, that when that happens in the show, I do think the internet's gonna break that day.
Do we think TV viewers are just as irrational as video gamers?
Yes, 100% yes.
Okay. Well, we've given it a 3 out of 5 unanimously. The real question now is, where does this rank on the dad meter? How dad certified is it?
I don't think it's 100%. I think there's something about the indie film scene that like dads hear indie film and their brain automatically clicks off.
Yep. You know, they'll click, this will come on TV, they'll click the guide, Sundance. What the fuck is this?
Fucking Sundance. What is it? Where's Butch Cassidy at?
Yeah. Get out of here with that. Where's my Michael Bay?
So I do think it takes that.
There are more explosions in space. I want to see space pew-pews.
I want pew-pews. They're standing there acting with their faces. I want them to act with their guns. Come on.
I do think dads will enjoy the NASA junk aspect of it all. I think that'll be popular. That's just a nice aesthetic. It's a very dad aesthetic.
They'll like the woods too. They'll like the setting of the moon and like it's very green. That reminds me of the time I went up to this national park. Yeah. Might even get them telling some stories.
It's a surrogate father story. Right?
I think give it a few months till after Fantastic Four comes out and they see him playing the daddy of the Fantastic Four, and they'll be like, "Oh, I like that Pedro Pascal guy. He's a grizzled young man who's working real hard to take care of your girl." I think they'll appreciate him even more once the Fantastic Four comes out and they see him in that role.
I think dads do appreciate him already. I do think they'll appreciate him more when they see who plays Sue Storm. They'll be like, well, good for Pedro. He's bagging.
High five, Pedro. High five.
Yeah, they'll high five him through the screen.
If I had to do the math in my head, add the deductions, add the non-deductions, I'd say this is probably about a 60 on the dad scale.
Okay. I think I'm leaning more towards like 70, 75, just because I think, yeah, dads don't really care for low-budget indie movies. But I think that'll really be counteracted here by the fact that it is basically, it's a space western, so that kind of balances it out. It's a surrogate father story. He's taking care, he's outlaw taking care of a kid. They got to make it through together. I think they'll really dig the lo-fi stuff. They'll be like, yeah, NASA junk, the 70s, hell yeah, like that kind of thing. So I'm leaning more towards like 70, 75.
I think it really leans on like when they come into the room, what part the movie is on.
Yeah.
Because if Pedro's on the screen, they're sitting their ass down.
Yeah.
But if they come in and they see like the first 40 minutes, they might. It's really a crapshoot. It's really going to be like, I think at that point 50-50.
If they turn it on while Sophie Thatcher is throwing yellow junk food at the wall, they're not going to stick around for that.
That's so wasteful. It's so wasteful. I'm not watching this wasteful.
Which is a shame because if they stick around for one more minute, they'll get Pedro.
I could, what I say originally 60. I could go up to 65 or 70.
Stu?
I could see this as a 65. It's a good movie where if you doze off for 10 or 15 minutes, you're not missing too much. You're going to wake back up and you're going to be right back into the movie. So I think they'll appreciate that too. Not too much changes quickly. Unless you fall asleep whenever her dad dies. That's about the only stretch of time in the movie where something big and dramatic happens that you would miss. And even then, like we said, the characters don't react to it, so why would dad?
Yeah, that's true. That's a thing that, yes, we didn't mention that, but that's a big thing for dads is can you, fall asleep while this is on and wake up and still know what's happening? And you can. You can. I think even if they fell asleep, I guess if they fell asleep before the dad died and then woke up and she was with Pedro, that might be confusing. But I think they'd get on board immediately just because, oh, Pedro Pascal. What happened to her dad? Doesn't matter. Pedro Pascal.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they'd be like, I fell asleep and the boring dad was gone, and when I woke up, Pedro Pascal was there instead, so it improved.
There's someone out there who has done that exact thing where they fell asleep in like the first 10 minutes and they woke up and they're like, wait a minute, Pedro Pascal's been her dad this entire time? Wait a minute.
All right, so
I'm missing something.
You're both at 65. I'm at 70. We'll meet in the middle and call it 67%. 67% dad certified.
I think it's the first 67 we've ever given.
Yeah. There's a first time for everything. All right. It has been decided this is a 67% dad approved movie, which means It is a dad movie.
It's a dad movie.
Yeah, it is a dad
Been
movie.
determined.
It has been determined. Now, this was a good movie. However, it's time for something not so good.
I hate this part. This is the negative Nancy's of the week. This is the part of the show where we go onto IMDb and pull up the goof section and just make fun of people that are watching movies incredibly the wrong way. They nitpick every little thing in movies, and they just sound like fools. They sound like damn fools, and we're really disappointed. And I've got mine right here, and I'll. I always look for the most downvoted ones or the ones that have more downvotes.
Some of them have lots of upvotes, and that pisses me off even more.
That's why I try to avoid that. I'm trying to bring more positivity in 2025. We've already determined that I'm in my hater era, so I need the positivity. But here's my goof. When they first get off the pod, Damon's helmet has no flashlight, but when they reach the old Erlach dig, it has a flashlight attached. Huh. You think?
Who cares? Who cares, IMDb person?
You think they couldn't put a fucking shitty little fucking flashlight on his helmet? Just like fucking do one of these and it's on there. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You need like you didn't have anything else in this movie explained, but you saw that there was a flashlight where there wasn't a flashlight, and you're like, "What, are they gonna explain the flashlight being there now?"
Shame on you,
Get a fucking life.
Person. Yeah.
Get a fucking life.
All right. I have mine, but mine is so egregious. I think it should go last. So, Stu, what do you have for us?
I just have a title for this one, but the title of this person's review was "If you can read lips, it helps," and it was just like, we have closed captioning for one thing, so if you have that much of a problem understanding, but like they weren't impossible to understand at any point in this movie. I don't understand what your problem was. Like, A, turn on the closed captioning if you're having that much trouble, and B, it wasn't hard to understand these people. It's not Tenet. You're not having that much of a hard time understanding these people speak.
I saw so many Letterboxd reviews that were the same, and so I turned this on.
Really?
So I turned this on expecting Tenet, and I'm like, no, I can hear them just fine.
Yeah.
You guys both have like a sound system or like a sound bar or something?
No.
Like, did you both watch it with TV audio?
I do watch everything with headphones, so I don't know if that helps. But...
I just watched it coming straight out of my TV speakers.
Well, I'm glad that it's not us. It just sounds like these people have really bad TVs with really bad audio issues.
Yeah, or they have bad hearing and they refuse to get it diagnosed and they blame the movie. Stop blaming the movie for your medical issues, people. What's wrong with you?
Look, just get a 5.1 system. You'll be okay, all right?
Oh.
Your audio guy now.
Okay, here's mine. This one annoyed me so much. Okay. I gotta mention this because we did not say this at all during this podcast, and it won't make sense until I explain. Okay, Pedro Pascal's name in this movie is Ezra. Okay.
They ever say that in the movie?
I don't remember.
I don't think they did, because the only person that would have said his name doesn't say a word.
That's true.
No. Because they do it because there's a scene where he's like, "Are you at least going to tell me your name?" He says that to C, who is Sophie Thatcher's character. We haven't said her name in the whole show. And she's like, "No, I'm not going to tell you." And then later on, she's like, "My name's C, by the way." And he's like, "I'm Ezra." I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes down.
I'm just of the mind that it's much more fun to talk about a movie by just saying the actor name.
That's what everyone's wanting. Like, because I'm like, okay, which one was that again? When you just say the actor's name, everyone's like on the same page.
It's much more fun. I don't care if we're talking about a Superman movie. I'm going to say Christopher Reeve. When Christopher Reeve turns back time. That's a much more fun sentence than when Superman turns back time.
Yeah, you're right. That first sentence was more fun.
Yeah. All right. Ezra sits up during the entire time of his medical procedure. Think how highly likely it would have been for him to pass out. He would have known this and taken the procedure lying down.
Jesus.
Shut up, IMDb. First of all, it's the future. She has a special future little thing. Do you think in real life you could cut a man's arm off that quickly with that tiny of a blade? No, it's a future device from the future. Maybe he doesn't have to lie down. What's wrong with you?
It's a future device from the future.
Well, they don't give it a name.
Call it the vibro scalpel.
Second of all, why would he have known this? Has he ever had his arm cut off? No, because he has both of them.
He has had exactly 0 arms cut off to this point in his life.
Yeah, why would he have known that I might pass out during this?
We need to get one of these goofballs on the show one time. Like someone who has. we need to put out the call. If you've ever put on a goof on IMDb, come here. We need you. We need you now.
The only thing that gives me solace is that this has 5 upvotes and 32 downvotes. So
Nice.
at the very least, the people of IMDb have spoken, and even the fellow IMDb goofs thought this was too much.
Thank you, IMDb, for bringing me back down and making me believe in humanity. Even if just for a second.
All
I'm
right.
so excited for my dad joke. Can I just read you? It's dad joke time. I'm so proud of this one.
Okay.
Pedro's great in this, hand down.
Oh.
All right, I will go next. You know, when Pedro made the plan to rip off the Mercs with just him and the girl, I didn't think they could do it. But I gotta hand it to him.
Mine is just, how is this movie like The Smashing Pumpkins?
How?
Because despite all his rage, he was just a pink man in a cage.
He got out, though. He got out.
Oh, yeah.
Got out somehow.
How? We don't know.
How did the pink man get out?
Oh, God.
I'm going to ask that on Querators, or what's the website? How did the pink man in Prospect get out of the cage?
You just know if this was like a big studio movie, there'd be some spin-off already about the Pink Man. How did he get in the cage?
He's not pink pink until the end of the movie.
Here's 2 hours and 30 minutes. Where did he come from? How did he become pink? How did he get in the cage?
In the prequel, he's played by Anya Taylor-Joy.
He's the one that gives the lady with the K-pop music her little music box to mess up comms.
Yeah, it was actually his idea. She stole it from him after they caged him.
We're writing this, right? We're writing this and calling Universal in the morning.
Yeah, let's pitch it. Let's call Pedro. He'll executive produce. Oh, okay.
We had another sequel for you. This is not Gladiator 2. Like, we promise it'll be better.
Oh, okay. It's time for my favorite segment of the show, and it's my favorite because we only do it whenever there's a guest on.
Yeah.
Yes. Nick always forgets about this until I bring it up.
I forget about this little survey.
Yeah. We are doing the Dad Questionnaire. Stu, I'm going to read you 13 questions.
Bye.
You are going to give me the first answer that pops in your head, just right from the heart.
Oh, heavens. Okay.
And from this questionnaire, the listeners will be able to tell just how dad you are. I will not tell you how dad you are because it's not for me to decide. It's for the listeners to decide based upon your answers.
I can handle that.
All right. But they will let us know.
They tell us everything.
Yeah. Steve Buscemi especially. He's always DMing us. That last guest you had was only this much dad based on his answers. You know, I was really upset. Hey guys, Steve Buscemi here. I was really upset when Con Air wasn't mentioned in any of the dad questionnaire answers.
Sorry, Steve. Yeah, you're our favorite standee, but we have no control.
Yeah. All right. Stu, are you ready to be
I'm ready.
dad? Okay. Question 1. Do you think you could land an airplane in an emergency?
Oh. We would all die.
Okay.
Very topical question this week.
You know, I just want to specify. I wrote this questionnaire like 3 months ago, before our very first guest ever came on. So,
Sure.
Okay. Question 2. What is your favorite action movie?
Terminator 2.
Okay. What is your favorite remote drop movie? If you don't know, this is the movie that when you see it on TV, you drop the remote and watch.
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz. That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a great one. Question 4. How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Once a year? Not as often as I'm told I'm supposed to.
Okay. And I'm gonna do a little sub question for this, just because I know you're a wrestling fan. How often do you think about the Bloodline?
Oh, every day.
Which Bloodline?
OTC bloodline, baby.
All right.
Roman and the Usos and Sammy.
All right. Question 5. Have you ever watched a movie standing up? And if so, what's the longest you've lasted before sitting?
Yes, I have. I think I watched chunks of Prospect standing up because usually whenever I have to go to the bathroom, but I'm putting off going to the bathroom because I'm interested in what I'm watching. So probably the longest I've gone has been like 10 minutes.
That's a very dad thing to be like, I gotta go, but this is getting good.
After this scene, yeah, after these next couple scenes finish up.
Yeah. You get up to go and then like Willem Dafoe pops up on screen. Oh.
Hmm.
Oh, and then you get kidney stones. Question 6. If you were stranded on a deserted island, what movie would you want with you?
Stranded on a deserted island and I could only have one movie, I would want Avengers Endgame because it's a long movie. I'm maximizing my enjoyment there.
All right. Question 7. This is a new question I just recently added. So previously there was only like 12 questions, but I just added this based on behaviors by mine and my friend's dad that they both ended up doing this independently of each other, and we spoke about it, and it was very funny. So I added this question. How many works of Taylor Sheridan have you seen?
Offhand, I have no idea.
Okay. Do you know who Taylor Sheridan is?
Know the name.
Okay,
I can't place.
He's the Yellowstone guy.
Oh, okay, then Zero. Yeah, I've seen Zero.
Okay. What movies did he did? He did Sicario.
Hell or High Water, right?
Hell or High Water.
He did Sicario. Okay, I've seen Sicario.
Okay. Yeah, Sicario, Hell or High Water, Wind River. I think that's it.
Those are all really good movies, though. I'm not mad at him for those.
I'm not mad at him for the movies either, but my God, yeah, that's this Yellowstone. My dad just started watching Yellowstone. He finished it. He's obsessed with Taylor Sheridan now.
He was also really good in he was in Sons of Anarchy for like the first 3 or 4 seasons before they like unceremoniously killed him off.
Yeah. I just know my dad watched Yellowstone. He binged it. Now he's watching Landman.
So many shows. He's got so many shows.
He's my dad all the time.
My wife watches every show on television, and she didn't like Yellowstone, but she likes the prequel shows, like the 1873 or whatever it's called. She likes those, but she doesn't like Yellowstone.
My dad started watching Yellowstone, and now he's always talking about wanting to be a cowboy in Montana. And he's always talking about I love Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan makes shows for real men. He's a cowboy, man. And he's loving all the Taylor Sheridan. And I started talking with my friend. I was like, my dad started watching Yellowstone. He's like, oh, my dad started watching it too. He's seen everything by Taylor Sheridan. Thinks he's a genius. I'm like, so does my dad. I'm like, I think this just happens to all dads over like 50.
It's because he's got like 50 shows now. He's the Tyler Perry for dads.
He really is. Anyway, next question. If a loved one was kidnapped, which movie character would you most emulate while attempting a dare and rescue?
Oh shit, what's his name from Taken? But I don't remember his name.
Brian Mills.
He clearly has the particular set of skills. Brian Mills, that's it.
His name is Brian Mills. I'm the only one that knows his name.
Everyone just calls him Liam Neeson.
Everyone just calls him Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson's daughter was kidnapped again. I know he's Brian Mills. I'm the only one.
Brian Mills. What a vanilla ass name.
It's right up there with
They didn't
Jake.
put a lot of thought into that.
It's right up there with
Brian
Jake
Mills
Sully.
is at it again.
It's right up there with Adam Clay.
No, you leave Adam Clay alone. Adam Clay is genius.
Okay. Question 9. Do you let others touch the thermostat?
I have no choice. My wife controls the thermostat. She keeps the house a balmy 75 degrees year round.
Okay.
That's rough. It's rough. She's constantly complaining she's cold.
I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry too.
What is your favorite movie quote?
You know, the first thing that comes to mind actually is I'm going back to the Hot Fuzz well. Whenever they say, it's just the one killer, actually.
That's a good one. You know, a lot of people.
I say that all the time. If there's only one of something, I always say it's just the one, whatever. Actually,
that's good. A lot of people would have been like, for the greater good, but you went in deep there.
Yeah.
Who is the coolest movie character?
Coolest movie character is someone played by Judd Nelson in pretty much any movie Judd Nelson has been in.
I respect that. I respect that choice. Most people would have gone with an action hero, and you went with Judd Nelson.
Action heroes are rad, but Judd Nelson is cool.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
Surprised you didn't go with Brian Mills.
Favorite dad joke?
You know, I don't know if I have one offhand. I would have to sit and think about that for a while. I don't know offhand.
Okay. And finally, the most important question of the dad questionnaire. What is the best Tom Cruise movie?
Best Tom Cruise movie is Top Gun Maverick? Top Gun Maverick.
All right.
It saved theaters. It saved cinema.
It did. It did.
Tom Cruise really wanted us to go back to the movies.
And we did because he asked.
He said
So nicely.
Yeah. Go
Like,
see
look,
Top...
I'm going to kill myself making these Mission Impossible movies. Please come to the theater.
Yeah.
And then we didn't show up for the one that he almost killed himself for.
That pesky Barbenheimer.
Boiled again.
I just picture him in like Scientology HQ. We would have beaten Fallout's box office if it wasn't for those pesky Barbenheimers.
I want no memes during the next Mission Impossible. No memes in theaters, okay?
Well, that is the dad questionnaire. Stu, you are officially... I don't know where this... Well, the listeners know now how dad you are. Your dadness is now known. I'm not going to tell you.
Fantastic.
I'm not going to tell you how dad you are because it's not up to me. It's up to the listeners and their own perverse minds.
Subjective. We've all got our scales.
Yeah.
Are we spinning a wheel? Are we talking? What are we doing? I'm blanking. I forget how to act when a guest is in.
It's weird. Guests throw us because we usually have about an hour and a half of nonsense preamble before we start recording. But when a guest shows up, we have to cut it down to half an hour.
Yeah,
we got to be on our good behavior.
You have to be good.
I am gonna
spin that wheel
to determine the movie that we watch for next week. The listeners cannot hear this because it's not plugged into my recording software because it's on Google. So I will do the sound effect. I mean, or I guess in post, I could.
Yeah, you could put it in post.
Oh no!
I could put a sound effect in post.
Don't do it. It's the worst.
All right. Is Nick? Is there anything you would like the wheel to land on?
I'm kind of in the mood for The Nice Guys. I really want to watch The Nice Guys.
Ooh, that's good.
I love that movie.
I'm gonna read the movies that are on this wheel just for Stu. Let's hear Stu's opinion.
Yeah, I want to know.
Yeah. We have Snake Eyes,
Okay.
Prey Predator double feature, The Nice Guys, RoboCop, GoldenEye, Sound of Metal, Wedding Crashers, Punch Drunk Love, Vengeance, All the President's Men, The Equalizer, Heathers, Jumper, Looper.
I think you should land on The Sound of Metal because I own like 5 physical DVDs. Like, I'm not a physical media guy because I don't have anywhere to put them. Like, I just don't have the space in my house. My wife and I own too much shit as it is. But I own The Sound of Music on DVD and I've never seen it. So land on The Sound of Music so I have an excuse to pop that into the player and watch it.
All right.
I say music, The Sound of Metal, obviously.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week we will be viewing Heathers.
Ooh.
I heard the sound. I heard you say The Sound of Music. I was like, I don't want to correct him because I want to trick him into watching The Sound of.
Always correct me. Always correct me. It's fine. I have no pride whatsoever. If I've misspoken, please correct me. Yes, The Sound of Metal is what I meant.
Well, I wanted to trick you into watching.
It doesn't matter.
I wanted to trick you into watching The Sound of Music.
It's you know what we're in a great period of time to watch The Sound of Music.
Topical. It's topical.
It's topical.
It is.
Yeah.
It's sadly topical.
Yeah. You know what? Just next time I come on your show, and there will be next time because, as I said, I'm going to be your Steve Martin. I'm coming on 18 times. I'm going to correct you every chance I get on your own show.
That's fine. That's fine. I deserve it on my own show. If I mess up on my own show, I need someone to call me out.
Yeah, I'm gonna be studying up. I'm gonna read every fandom page of every comic book. I'm gonna be like, actually, Stu, actually, in issue 118.
Look on the panel on page 3 towards the bottom. Spider-Man action.
You can clearly see Batman's ankle twisted an angle where it should not be.
And that's why Batman v Superman sucks, because they got the ankle twist wrong.
I'm always saying that. It's so nice that he brings it up here. He's saying that for me. He's saying that for me. It wasn't the Martha scene. It was that ankle scene.
Well, that is it for the show. Stu, why don't you let everybody know where they can follow you?
Absolutely. So I am on pretty much all the social medias. I'm on Blue Sky, Threads. I'm still on Twitter. I'm still on Instagram. It's all at SWO Productions. And primarily, if you want to follow us or get involved, go to the website swoproductions.com. Right at the top of the page, we have a pinned article, which is a whole bunch of places where you can find me, podcast players and social media spots. I've got to update it to include Blue Sky and Threads, but other than that, everything's on there.
All right. You can follow this show at standandwatch.bsky.social. It's the only social media we're on because I've left Twitter and I'm too lazy for Instagram. I don't like Instagram. It's too many pictures. I don't do it. I don't fuck with it. We're not on Instagram.
They just changed their squares too. So like everyone like everything on my page for like Smashing Game Time, I have set up at 10 by 10, right? Pictures are 10 by 10. Everything is like, now it's like a long shape. And so now anything you had at 10 by 10 is like cut off on the sides. And it's just like, what the fuck did I set all this up for?
Yeah. We're only on Blue Sky. You can follow me and Nick there as well, but we're not going to tell you what our ads are. You have to find that yourself. Do some work. Do some digging.
You got to find us. Yeah. Fuck marketing. Marketing sucks.
Yeah, you got to earn it. You got to earn it to follow us. But follow the show at Stand and Watch.
Why would I market to you? I see what other bullshit you're into.
Yeah, leave us a review if you want. We're not going to make you. You're the pilot of your own life.
I don't give a shit what you like and don't like either.
Yeah.
Your words don't mean shit.
Yeah, don't come and argue at us either. Like, oh, you only gave this movie a 3 out of 5? What's wrong with you? We don't care. You shouldn't either.
No.
Yeah.
Half the people you're yelling at on the internet are bots, so get the fuck out of here.
It's true. Right? It doesn't matter. It's a movie.
Calm down.
Yeah, calm down.
Go outside.
Stu doesn't like Spider-Man 2, and I still like him. Like, it's fine. Right?
I like Stu. You know what? I saw a page. Stu ranked every Spider-Man. I was a little kerfuffled about Spider-Man 2 being towards the bottom, but you know what? Stu's still a pretty awesome guy.
Yeah.
I like all the Spider-Man movies except the last one, so... Last one I had was the first Spider-Man movie. I think that's an objectively terrible movie, but I like Spider-Man 2. It's just after the others.
You see,
you monster.
You see, Stu.
I hate Stu now. I hate Stu now.
I still like Stu. Despite his sins. Despite his sins that he just confessed. I still like him.
You know what? You're right. Hate the sin, not the sinner. You're right.
Yeah,
right.
We all have our vices. Okay.
Some are more wrong than others, but you know what? You gotta still love the people in your life.
Yeah, I like Michael Bay movies. We all have our vices.
Oof, Ambulance. Ugh.
Ambulance was great, and I will die on that hill. And you, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, never die on a hill. A mountain, maybe, not a hill, but I'll die on the hill that I like non-Transformers Michael Bay movies.
Like Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain is wonderful. I love Pain and Gain. Pain and Gain is his masterpiece.
Like, is that The Rock's best movie?
Yes. It might be Wahlberg.
Possibly,
It might be Wahlberg's best movie too.
Wahlberg was really good in The Other Guys, though.
Yeah.
Like, comedic genius.
Well, what's great about The Other Guys is he's just playing the same guy he played in The Departed.
True. I aspire to be a hater like he is in that movie, where he's learning to tap dance so he can hate on the kids that tap dance.
Yeah.
I aspire to that level of hater.
A level of pettiness.
Yeah, we got to get Pain and Gain on. We got to get Pain and Gain on one of these wheels because that is a beautiful, beautiful movie.
Would be the first Bay movie that I like that we've watched for the show.
Maybe. But that is it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Buscemi, all you standees out there, thank you for listening. And whatever you do, don't tell your mother.